Hello, welcome back. It's so good to see you. So, today we're going to be doing a neighborhood gossip video. Now, I'm going to be honest, there has not been a lot going on, but a lot of people have been like, neighborhood gossip, when are we going to get another neighborhood gossip? So, we'll do a neighborhood gossip. But there's not that much to say. I do have my notes over here as usual. But it's not going to be like, oh my gosh. It's just going to be like, oh wow, okay. Like, there is some stuff that made me mad about Pink Shirt. But we'll get into that in a minute. So anyway, yeah, not a lot of stuff's been going on. But there has been some stuff, some updates. So might as well just get them out there, right? Because the holidays are coming up. So I have tons of ideas for holiday videos. So we ain't gonna have time for neighborhood gossip until like January, and by then all this will be like old news. Who cares, right? So anyway, let's just go ahead and get into it. Okay, so in the last neighborhood gossip, I talked, at least I think it was neighborhood gossip, might have been like summer update, I don't know, but in one of those videos I talked about the park down the street. Remember how I was saying there was lots of loud noises and like banging and stuff, and me and my husband, we went and checked it out, and they completely tore down the park. It was an older park. It had been there probably since like the 70s or something. But then on Facebook, all the neighbors were like, we want this, or put this there, or make it a pickleball court. Pickleball. Anyway, and then I didn't hear anything about it for a while. And then I found out that they're never going to be building anything on it. Nothing ever again. Because it was bought out, the land was bought out by FEMA. And they bought it out because back there, the next street over is like way deep down, it floods like almost every single year. And I guess FEMA is tired of wasting money into repairing people's houses and stuff. But the thing is like, okay, so back there in the neighborhood, there's houses, all right? And every couple of years, someone will sell their house. Well, FEMA has been buying those houses up, tearing them down, and not building anything on them, which makes sense. Because in the long run, it will save them money, But the thing is, that park has been there, like I said, since the 70s. And it was like a metal park. So there was a basketball court. Okay. So the court part was concrete. That doesn't get destroyed in a flood. And then you have the two metal, like, basketball goal thingies. I don't know what those are called, but you know what I mean. The things that you play basketball in. Those are metal. And the basket part is way up high. And then the park part was like a swing set, slide, all that stuff was metal because it was made in the 70s. So there was no like, oh, this gets destroyed by the flood every year. No, it doesn't. It's been fine for however many years it's been around. So why did they decide to tear it down? It's not like it was someone's house or anything like that. They just were like, you know what, we're going to buy up this park because it never gets destroyed. Then we're going to tear it completely down and then just never rebuild anything on it because it's a bad area. So FEMA's just taking parks away from kids now? Like, what? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me because that park was completely waterproof. Like, it was never damaged. So, I don't know. That just kind of like pissed me off. I don't know why it just did. Okay. Now on to the pink shirt drama. It's not really drama. It's just, and it's not surprising. And if you have followed my neighborhood gossip videos for however long they've been going on, you know Pink Shirt. You know her. And this will not be surprising to you, but it still pisses me off. Still pisses me off. Okay, so you know, the kids have been on the bus ever since August because of my mobility issues and stuff. So I stand out at the bus stop with them and like all the other kids, because like only one other parent comes and stands out there. Like, these are little kids, you know, and people are just like, yeah, go stand at the bus stop. Nothing bad will happen to you. In a neighborhood that has had multiple kidnapping attempts, but you know, whatever. I always stand out there with the kids, make sure they get on the bus. And one day the bus was really, really late. Like, I got a notification on my phone saying the bus is going to be at least 45 minutes late. And we had already been standing out there for like 25 minutes. And we're like, where is this bus? And so Pink Shirt's kids were out there. Let's call them, because there's Red Shirt, which is the dad, Pink Shirt, which is the mom, and then Baby Shirt, which is the baby. So we'll have Girl Shirt and Boy Shirt. Okay. Because they got 3 kids. I don't know what to, I can't come up with names because I'll forget them, but I will never forget the shirt situation. Okay. So I told Girl Shirt, because she had been complaining, she was like, oh, when is the bus going to come? And I was like, I just got a notification on my phone. It's going to be another 45 minutes. Because there was like some accident on the freeway and the bus was trying to come from the high school thing, and it was a whole deal. Anyway, and it's okay. Like, it doesn't get counted against them if they're late to school due to bus issues. So it wasn't a big deal. But I had told Girl Shirt, I was like, it's gonna be like 45 more minutes. And she was just like, oh my gosh, because she didn't want to be late to school. And so she said to Boy Shirt, maybe we should go see if Mom can take us to school. And he was like, no way, you know Mom's still asleep. What? These kids are 8 and 6. An 8-year-old is waking up at, like, I don't know, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, getting up her 6-year-old brother, making sure he's dressed, his backpack is all good, and then they eat breakfast and then gets them to, like, to me, I feel like that's way too young to be so much in charge. What do you mean, 8-year-old and 6-year-old, that your mom is still asleep? What? What? And this lady, like, I could understand if she, like, works a night shift or something like, I don't know, but she's a stay-at-home mom. She doesn't work from home or anything like that, so it's like, what are you doing? You have small children. Why are you not, you know? But my mom was like, you know, not a lot of moms are like you. Because I'm like, I'm on top of my game as a mom, you know, and apparently not all moms are like that, which is stressful. I'm like mad at Pink Shirt about it, you know. Anyway, so I'm already mad at Pink Shirt about being what I feel like is a lazy mom. And then it turns out she gets even lazier, and I'm like, what? Okay, so again, this is another bus stop situation, but it has to do with the neighbors, so, and Pink Shirt. All right, so me and my kids were walking to the bus stop, and we get there first, and usually girl shirt and boy shirt are there before us, but this time they weren't. And so I saw girl shirt walking up, and she looked so pretty. She looked so pretty because it was picture day, you know, so everybody was looking like their best, right? But she was like extra pretty, and she even had on a tiara. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be wearing a tiara in your picture day? Man, fancy, right? So I was like all complimenting her and stuff. She's all like, and she was like, yeah, but that's not why I'm wearing the tiara. And I was like, why? And she's like, today's my birthday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, happy birthday. This is so great, you know? And so I was just hanging out with her and stuff. And then the next day, I asked her, I was like, so did you do anything awesome for your birthday? Like, did you have a cake or like, you know, whatever? And she was like, well, I had to wait for my dad to get home, and then me and my dad, we made the birthday cake together, and but then it took too late to make the birthday cake because he got home kind of late, so we made it, but it was too late to eat it. But I had it for breakfast this morning, and I was like, wow, birthday cake for breakfast, that's great. But in my head I was like, what? I was so mad because I'm like, again, Pink Shirt is a stay-at-home mom who doesn't work from home, and from previous videos, you know she doesn't do anything all day. Her own mother complained about it. What? You're telling me that on your daughter's birthday, you couldn't make the cake while she was at school and like surprise her when she gets home from school with a cake? It doesn't even have to be an amazing, fantastic cake. It's a cake. Okay? What? No, she had to wait for her dad to get home, but he got home too late. So her and her dad did make the cake, which I understand, like, because kids like making stuff, so maybe that was the deal. But, like, why'd you have to wait so late? Why didn't you do it, you know? Anyway, so she didn't even get cake on her birthday. I was just so mad. I was so mad. I was so mad. But I'm still very nice. I'm still very nice to Pink Shirt, you know? I mean, she's my neighbor and stuff. And like the other day, she needed something and she posted on Facebook. She was like, does anybody have this or whatever? And I had it. So I immediately walked over there and gave it to her, you know? Just because I'm nice. And I try to like her and be nice to her. But how you can do that to your own daughter on her birthday? Like, what? What? Anyway, so, yeah. Okay, this next thing is like kind of ew. Not kind of, it is. And then it's also sad, and I'm just like, what? Why? Okay, so, I don't know. It was probably a couple weeks ago. The neighbors over here, they were having their roof redone. Shocking, right? One of my neighbors having their roof redone? This is completely new. They were having their roof redone, and I hated it because of the noise, obviously, but because the roofers were like so not careful with what they were doing, and they were like, some of their roof ended up on my roof. Some of their roof ended up on my front porch and in my backyard, like, and then it covered my entire front porch because they were just throwing it everywhere, okay? And then it took them hours to clean it up. And I'm like, I had to walk out my front porch to go get the kids off the bus. Like, it was just like, what the hell? Like, respect other people's properties. You know what I mean? Anyway, but I'm not going to complain. Not really. Like, I'll complain to you, but not to the neighbor because it's not their fault. And I'm not going to complain to the roofers, you know? Just, Anyway, so there was stuff everywhere. They did eventually clean it up, but the next day there was nails and stuff all over my front porch, so I had to pick up all these nails. And then on the side of the house, I'm like, this is gonna be like awful, especially like when my husband mows the lawn, because if there's a nail and it gets caught, like it could break our lawnmower or something, or it could catch it and shoot it somewhere, and it could stab the house or someone or something, like it just, they didn't clean up very well, which irritated me. But that's not the point of the story. So they didn't clean up very well, and so I kept finding like little pieces of shingles just randomly in my front yard or my backyard or whatever. And so I would pick them up and throw them in the trash. And then one day I was walking out the front porch, and I, like, out of the corner of my eye, I saw like some black stuff on the side of the neighbor's house. And the side of the neighbor's house is like because my front door kind of goes back, so I see part of the side of their house. And I was just like, ugh, more shingles, whatever. So I walked the kids, came back. It was like 3 days, okay? 3 days. And then one day I was walking out to go check the mail or something, and I don't know, I don't want to say rushing out the front door, because you know me, I'm very slow at walking, but like my mind is usually going a million miles an hour, so I'm not paying attention. Well, this day, I guess I wasn't thinking about other things, and I just casually walk out the door, and I look over, and I was like, what the hell? Because what I thought was shingles didn't look like shingles anymore, and I was like, what is that? But I just went and checked the mail, and I come back and I can see it from the driveway and stuff, and I'm just like, what is that? I gotta see what that is, because those aren't shingles. So I go up to it, and I like go up to it and lean forward, and I immediately back out, and I'm like, oh my god, because it was a cat. But I was just like, why is the cat not acknowledging me? Like, what is going on? So I walk up to it again, and I get real close to it, and I'm like, oh no, because the cat was pressed all the way up against the house, and it was dead. And I was like, oh my god, ugh, what? It wasn't in my yard, it was like pushed all the way up against their house. I don't know why it was like that, but it was. And I was like, oh my god, oh my god. And I don't know if they have a cat. I've never seen a cat, but I was just like, I have to tell them. So I go over there, no one is home, and I'm like, okay, what do I do? So I'm like, I'll call animal control, okay? So I call animal control, which takes forever. No one answers the phone at animal control, and then when you get transferred to the actual animal control department, the line hangs up. So I had to do this for like 3 hours. I finally get a hold of someone in animal control, and I tell them, there is a dead cat that's like pressed up against my neighbor's house, and like, what do we do, because my neighbor wasn't home, so I was trying to help them out by calling animal control for them, and I was like, can you have someone come pick up the animal, and they're like, no. This lady sounded so annoyed, and like she acted as though I was asking the dumbest questions ever. She was just like, no, we don't do that. And I'm like, is this animal control? She's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, well, there's an animal that I'm pretty sure is dead. It could be injured, but I'm pretty sure it's full dead, because thinking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been there for like 3 days. Because I thought it was shingles, right? Anyway, so I was like, what? And she's like, we get rid of like alligators and, you know, armadillos and stuff that are in your garage and stuff, you know. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do about the dead animal? I mean, what do I tell my neighbor to do? And they're like, I don't know, have them call some pest control service to remove it, or they can put it in their trash. Like, I was just such an idiot. But I was like, but what about the cat? Like, I called animal control because I was like, well, maybe they can come get the cat, remove it, but also to scan it, because this cat belongs to someone, you know? And like, animals, whenever they're born or whatever, and you get a chip put in them, so if they're runaway or whatever, and like the pound picks them up, or, you know, missing, you can take them to the animal shelter and they can scan them and then return them home. So I was like, well, what about the cat? Don't you need to scan it so that you can let the owners know? And she literally laughed. Like, is that a dumb question? I'm concerned. Like, this cat belongs to someone. Some kids are probably like, where's my cat? You know, like, what? And she just laughed, like, no. Like, this cat's life is not valuable or something. Like, I'm just the dumbest person in the world. I was just so aggravated by this I was just like speechless. Like, I could not believe that this was a thing. Like, what? So my neighbor finally came home, and I told her, and she was just like, what? At first I asked her, I was like, do you have a cat? And she was like, no, we don't have any animals. And I was like, okay, well, I just need to tell you that on the side of your house, it's like pressed up onto your house, that there's I'm pretty sure it's a dead cat. And she was just like, what? Like, she freaked out, and I was just like, I know. And I told her, I was like, I tried to help you out. I tried to call animal control, but they said that they don't help with this type of thing. And she was like, what? And I was like, I know. She said that you have to call some pest control place and blah blah. And she was just like, what? So anyway, but she ended up having her husband put it in a trash bag. I didn't like that. I'm just like, but like, what do you do? What do you do in that situation? You know? I don't know. It was so sad. Like, oh my gosh. And screw you, animal control. Like, what the hell? What the hell? Anyway, so yeah, that happened. Why does the weird stuff always happen either in my yard or around my yard? Like, what? Anyway, so you know how Nurseman moved out, and we were wondering, like, that house stayed empty for quite some time, because the price was ridiculous. And I did tell my sister, because they kept bringing the price down. So I did text my sister, but her lease that she's in now doesn't end in November like I thought it did. It ends next summer, so she wouldn't have been able to get it anyway. But someone finally moved in. They finally brought it down, like way down, and someone finally moved in, and I was trying to like catch them, you know, because I kept seeing a car, but only a car, and then the garage would close like immediately. And I'm like, I never saw these people. Well, one day my daughter, she was looking outside, and she was like, oh my God, I saw the neighbors. And then the garage closed. And I'm like, what? Like, tell me, you know, because I'm scared that it's like a party house like before, you know. And she was like, they look like, she's like, it is a couple. They look young, you know. And I was like, did you see any kids? She's like, no, I didn't see any kids. And I was like, well, okay. I was like, that's good. A nice, quiet couple. But I was like, it's quite a large house. Why don't they have kids? Like, what are these people doing in such a massive house, you know? But they do. They actually do have kids. But I was like, okay, well, they're quiet. Everything's cool. And then one day I come out and they set up a basketball. What is that thing called? Is it a basketball goal thing? I don't know. And I was just like, oh, because that's one noise that I hate the absolute most is basketball bouncing on concrete. I hate it. I hate it, especially around here because it echoes. It echoes. So far, it hasn't actually been that bad. It hasn't been that bad. So, that makes me happy. But they have 2 kids. One kid is actually in my son's class rotation. They're not in the same class, but they're in the same class rotation, so they do know each other. And then the other kid is in the junior high that's right here. So our kids are about the same age. But I keep trying to catch them, you know, like so that I can introduce myself, not be like, haha, I caught you, neighbor. No, it's just whenever somebody new moves in, I do like to introduce myself, you know. And one day, it was like the middle of the week, and I saw the son was outside, and I was like, what? This was before I knew that he was in my son's rotation, and the trash had come, so I had to go get the trash can. And when I was out there, the dad walked out, and I was like, oh, hey, you know. And so I waved and I walked over there, and I was like, is he homeschool? And he was like, no, he just wasn't feeling well that day. He was feeling fine, you know, at the time because he was playing basketball. But anyway, that's how I found out like what schools they go to and stuff. But anyway, so the guy across the street, we're gonna call him Army Guy because he's in the Army. But yeah, so he is in the Army, and they moved here from Michigan. I don't think that his wife does anything. I think she's just Army wife. So we've got Army Guy, Army wife, Army kids. I don't know. I don't know what to name them. I have never seen the daughter. Never. I've seen the son only because I saw him that day playing the basketball, or bouncing the basketball. And I've seen him one time get off the bus. But they're pretty much, they stay inside. So thank God. It's quiet neighbors. This is going to make me so happy. We'll see how it goes in the summer though. Because this summer, most of the time kids are out. There's no school. That means more noise. But right now, quiet. So I like them. But yeah, so I was talking to Army Guy. And he's been in the Army for like 16 years. And I told him, I was like, oh, my husband, he is retired Army. And I was like, I used to be in the Marines. So, and he was like, oh, cool. And I was like, this guy, he's in the reserves, and that guy's in the Army. So he was like, this is good, you know. Like he was like, thank you. This is like very a Southern hospitality welcome, you know. Apparently this is not just to walk over and talk to your neighbor is not a common thing in other places. So he appreciated it. But I was like, is your wife home? I'd like to meet her, but she wasn't. She had gone somewhere. But I found out some information from him, which I am not happy about because I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I don't know. We're not there yet. You'll understand in a second. I'm not there yet, so I don't need to stress or panic about it. But it is going to be in the back of my mind. So his daughter is she's in 7th grade because she's in junior high. And my daughter is going to be in junior high next year. So he said that he was really confused because his wife, he's like, I don't know what I'm going to have to do, because he's on leave right now because of the move, and they only have one vehicle. And he has to leave pretty early to get to the army base in Houston, wherever that is. I think I know where it is, but I don't know. Anyway, he has to leave pretty early, and they usually, whatever, you don't need his schedule. So, but because of where we live, it's 1.5 miles from the school. And the cutoff point for bus riders is 1 mile. Well, not for this school. Because this school is attached to this neighborhood, they used to have a bus service come and pick up the kids, but they no longer do that. And I'm like, I'm so confused because we are 1.5 miles away from the school. And we're in the very back of the neighborhood, and this school is on the highway. But it's also at the corner of the neighborhood. So I'm like, what? There's no bus route. His wife has to take his daughter to the school, and he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do when I have to go back from leave, because it's 1.5 miles. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're a kid walking from the back of the neighborhood to the front, like my neighborhood is massive. There are thousands of houses in this neighborhood, and it is very far. 1.5 miles to walk every single day? Are you kidding me? Like, that sounds like a grandparent kind of story. I walked to school 10 miles in the snow, and like, you know what I mean? Like, what? And I'm like, I do see kids walking to school and it's like, are you kidding me? No, because the street over here, one street over here, is just too far. So they get bus rides. Are you freaking kidding me? No. I'm not going to have my daughter walking through a neighborhood, which, if you check the map, there are literal pedophiles like everywhere, okay? And my neighborhood's a nice neighborhood, but pedophiles gotta live somewhere, right? There are legit pedophiles, registered sex offenders in the neighborhood. And this neighborhood has had multiple kidnapping attempts. And you want my daughter to walk 1.5 miles throughout the entire neighborhood, or along a back road that is completely wooded? So Murder City? I'm thinking no. How am I going to get her to school next year? You know, and school doesn't start until like 8:45 because it's junior high. My husband leaves at like 6:30 in the morning to go to work, so he won't be able to take her or pick her up. So it's like, how's that gonna work? The only thing that I can think of is I'm gonna have to call the bus barn next year and be like, these kids right here get picked up by the bus. Why can't my daughter just walk to that bus stop? Because I'd rather her walk the street over than have to walk for 1.5 miles through the neighborhood, through the dangers of the world. You know what I mean? Like, this is information that I don't like. And I was just like, what? Now, I did talk to Pool House because my kids ride the bus. I do see parents every once in a while, and the bus stop is at Pool House right there. So I don't want to say we're friends, But me and Pool House and Sister Wife actually are acquaintances, but we're very friendly. Okay. Even though Pool House drives me crazy, she's very nice, and I'm very nice to her. And she has a daughter that goes to junior high. And she is like, yes, she complained. She's the complainer. If anything goes wrong on the bus or whatever, I don't gotta worry about it, because she is going to be a storm. Okay, so I don't have to complain about anything ever. And she said that she complained because she's like, what the hell? Because she has an older son who used to ride the bus that took him to the junior high. And she's like, what the hell? And first, they built this road, and once they built this road, even though it doesn't change the distance from the houses, for some reason, once they built that road, they're like, oh no, no more buses, which doesn't make any sense at all. But anyway, she complained about it. She was like, and I have to take my daughter every day, you know. She's like, so if next year is an issue and you can't drive or whatever, she's like, I can take your daughter, no problem. She's like, I don't know what she'll do when she's in 8th grade, but you know. And I was like, well, that's nice. Hopefully that won't be a thing. But I don't like it. I don't like it. But anyway, so yes, I have friends in the neighborhood. But you know who my true friends are? The English neighbors. They are my family. And their 50th anniversary is actually tomorrow. Oh my gosh. So for their 50th anniversary, they are going out of town, not specifically tomorrow, but soon. And they're going on an 18-day cruise. It's not a southern cruise like the Caribbean or Caribbean. I don't know how you say that word. It's not like a tropical kind of cruise. They are going. Their cruise is, I believe, starting in Toronto, like in Canada. Like they have to fly there, and then it's gonna end up somewhere in the United States. But it's an American Great Lakes tour, because apparently I don't know nothing about the Great Lakes, but apparently the Great Lakes, they are all connected. So they're taking a cruise in the Great Lakes, and then they're, you know, docking at certain places and going to these historical events and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm so freaking jealous. I'm so jealous. I want to do that. My kids would hate that though. That's gonna have to be something that we would have to do like when they are in college or something. I don't know. But I told my husband, and he was like, wow, that sounds so cool. That sounds so cool. And they're really into gardening and stuff. If you've seen any of the pictures that I've posted of their garden and stuff. And there are like these historical, like museum like gardens that are up there. So they're going to be going to these gardens and stuff. So I cannot wait for the pictures. Can't wait. But anyway, so now I am on package duty. I volunteered though, because he told me that they were going on an 18-day cruise, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's such a long time. And I was like, because of the time, you know, Christmas is coming up, and I was like, oh, well, I'll be sure to look out for packages, you know. And he was like, oh, I totally forgot about that. And I was like, yeah, I'll check every day, and I'll get whatever packages you get, and I'll just put them in my office and give them to you when you come home. And he was like, oh, thank you. He's like, I'll send you a reminder when we leave. And I was like, don't worry. I was like, I'll put it on the calendar. I won't forget, you know. So I'm on package duty. But anyway, so I'm trying to look at the time. It's still a pretty long video, even though nothing has really happened. Nothing's really happened in the neighborhood. I'm just telling you, like, no drama. I'm just telling you about, like, you know, updates, I guess. But anyway, that's all that's going on. Nothing that exciting, right? Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.